We spend all this time trying to pick the perfect words. But what if I told you that's only a tiny fraction of the conversation? The vast majority of what we communicate has nothing to do with what we actually say. Today, we're going to decode that silent language, all the messages we're constantly sending with our bodies, our faces, and even the space around us.
So let's dive right in with a story where body language wasn't just some awkward detail, it was literally a matter of life and death.
Okay, picture this. It's 2015, and the trial of the Boston Marathon bomber is underway. Now, his guilt wasn't even up for debate. He'd already admitted to it. The jury only had one single question to answer. Should he get life in prison or the death penalty?
So as witness after witness comes up and shares these absolutely horrific, gut-wrenching stories, the defendant, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, just sits there. He looks bored, almost detached from the whole thing. He never flinches, never shows a hint of emotion, and, this is the kicker, he never, not once, makes eye contact with the jurors. The very people deciding if he lives or dies.
And this is where culture comes into play, big time. In the United States, if someone won't look you in the eye, we often read that as a sign of guilt, or maybe shame. But when you combine that with a total lack of emotional reaction, the message the jury got wasn't shame. It was a cold, chilling absence of remorse.
So without saying a single word, his nonverbal signals helped paint this picture of a heartless killer. And that perception, right or wrong, played a huge role in the jury's final decision to sentence him to death, a verdict delivered in complete silence.
That story is, wow. It's an incredibly powerful example. But what might be even more shocking is just how much these nonverbal cues dominate our lives every single day.
According to a really famous study by a researcher named Albert Mehrabian, when we're figuring out our attitude towards someone, whether we like them or not, a mind-blowing 93% of that message comes across non-verbally. Now, to be fair, that number comes from a very specific kind of study, but it makes a massive point. What we don't say often screams louder than what we do.
And here's how it all breaks down. Just look at that chart. See that tiny little sliver for words? A measly 7%. The lion's share of the message is our tone of voice, and the biggest piece of the pie, our body language. It's the ultimate proof of that old saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
So what is all this stuff really? Well, it's all those signals and behaviors we use to send messages without speaking. And the key thing is, a lot of it is totally natural, even involuntary, like a genuine smile that reaches your eyes, or a quick, unconscious frown.
And this right here is why we usually trust body language more than words. Think about it. We learn language, it has a rule book, and we can consciously choose our words to lie. But our nonverbal signals, a lot of that is pure instinct. It's that gut feeling you get when a friend says, "I'm fine," but their slumped shoulders and flat tone are screaming that they're anything but.
Okay, so if you think that's tricky, things get way more complicated when we start crossing borders. A friendly gesture in one place can be a massive insult somewhere else, creating a total minefield of misunderstandings.
Let's start with an easy one, the thumbs up. We all know this one, right? In North America and a lot of the world, it means great, or all good, or awesome job. Pretty straightforward.
Well, not so fast. If you flash that same exact gesture in Greece or parts of the Middle East, you've just delivered a really potent insult. It's basically their version of giving someone the middle finger. So yeah, one gesture, two completely opposite meanings.
Here's another classic. When President George W. Bush, a proud Texan, flashes this hook 'em horns sign, he's cheering for his team, the University of Texas Longhorns. It's all about school spirit and Texas pride. But if he were to make that gesture at someone in Italy, the meaning would be a lot more personal. Over there, it's an insult called il cornuto, and it implies that the man you're gesturing to, well, that his wife is cheating on him. Definitely not the same as go team.
Okay, so with all these landmines, you've got to be wondering, is anything universal? Is there any piece of this silent language that everyone on the planet can understand?
And the answer is yes, but of course, it's complicated. It turns out that our most basic facial expressions for emotions seem to be hardwired into all of us as a species. A smile means happiness, whether you're in Boston or Bhutan.
Thanks to the groundbreaking work of researcher Paul Ekman, we know that these 6 core emotions are expressed on the face in the exact same way across every single culture he studied. And get this is the amazing part. Even people who've been blind from birth make these same expressions without ever having seen another person's face. But here comes the complication. While the facial expressions themselves are universal, the rules for when we're allowed to show them are not. Every culture has its own set of unwritten display rules that tell us when, where, and how it's okay to show what we're feeling.
A famous study shows this perfectly. Researchers showed Japanese and American students a really graphic, disturbing film. When the students watched it alone, they all had the exact same facial expressions of disgust. But then an authority figure came into the room. The American students kept showing their disgust, but the Japanese students immediately masked it with a polite, neutral smile. They were following a cultural rule that says it's not appropriate to show negative emotions in front of an authority figure.
So what are we supposed to do with all this? It's not like you can memorize every gesture and cultural rule on Earth. How are you supposed to navigate this incredibly complex, silent world?
Well, there's a really powerful idea that helps explain it. It's called the nonverbal expectancy violation theory, and it's simpler than it sounds. It just means that we all walk around with an invisible set of rules in our heads about how people are supposed to behave nonverbally. And when someone breaks those rules, maybe they stand too close or don't make eye contact, it triggers a really strong, immediate reaction in us.
Let me show you a very public, very awkward example. Back in 2007, at an AIDS awareness event in India, American actor Richard Gere playfully grabbed Bollywood star Shilpa Shetty, dipped her back, and gave her a few kisses on the cheek. In many Western cultures, that would be seen as a harmless, maybe even charming stage antic.
But in India, where public displays of affection are a major no-no, this was a massive violation of their nonverbal rules, and the backlash was immediate and severe. We're talking widespread protests, people burning effigies of both actors, and an Indian court actually issued an arrest warrant for Richard Gere for vulgarity, all because of a kiss on the cheek. It shows just how visceral our reactions can be.
So the key here isn't to become an overnight expert on every culture. It's much simpler. It's about becoming a better observer and a slower judge. When someone's behavior seems off or weird to you, just pause. Instead of jumping to a conclusion about what it means based on your own rulebook, get curious. Try to ask why they might be doing it based on theirs.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought to take with you. Every moment of every day, whether you know it or not, you are broadcasting messages to the world. So the only question left is, what are you communicating when you're not saying a word?